Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the EscapePod for an EscapeBite. If you recall,
the mini-sode.
We're not taking a bite out of crime. We're taking a bite into
crime.
It's
like same episodes, but smaller.
And per your request, this one is more lighthearted.
And Julie's telling the stories.
It's a little lighter.
Instead of me.
Yeah. So I felt the need last time to just follow up on something we had talked about previously in a regular episode. It was eating at me a little bit to not be able to fully explain the story. This is solely inspired by the fact that my time as a PTA officer is coming to an end. But this is kind of hilarious. No, not hilarious. Because they did a really bad thing.
But you're grinning.
I just can't believe it. I'm just like, to use a position like the PTA to scam people out of a lot of money is just so far beyond what I could imagine doing. It's bonkers. Okay. So one of the headlines I found for this story from
this is Real Housewives kind of situation.
I'll let you
real
decide.
PTA wives of where are we at with state?
Right. This is in California.
Okay.
And one of the headlines I found about this story from the LAist, this ain't no bake sale. PTA moms charged in multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme.
Multi-million-dollar?
Yeah.
This is the real PTA moms of California.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Trademark.
3 PTA moms affiliated with Neil Armstrong Elementary School in Diamond Bar, California, a community not far from Anaheim, California, were charged in the summer of 2011, so we are going back a little ways, with multiple counts of grand theft and securities fraud for a Ponzi scheme that authorities said bilked people out of $14 million.
What?
$million. Yep.
How big is this freaking school? How many kids? What?
I'd have to go back and look it up.
Is this a school for trust fund babies? Like, I'm very
No,
confused.
I don't think so. I
cannot wait. Please tell me more.
The charges stemmed from activity that occurred over more than 2 years between June of 2008 and August of 2010.
Still $7 million a year.
It's crazy. I'm thinking to myself, like, boy,
PTA.
We did not run very successful PTA fundraisers. But here's the thing. It's kind of has to do with PTA and kind of not.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll let you
I'll shut up
I'll
then.
explain, yeah.
I'm moving away from the mic.
The 3 very bad moms, you saw the movie Bad Moms. Okay. The 3 very bad moms are Maricela Barajas, a.k.a. Maricela Torres, 41 at the time charges were filed, Juliana Menifee, 50 years old, back in 2011, and Eva Perez, who was 51. Perez was called the ringleader of the group. So as a PTA mom myself, I initially thought it was a little unfair to associate their criminal behavior with their PTA membership. But here's why it is kind of important. Prosecutors alleged that they recruited some investors at school events, including PTA meetings. What? Ultimately convincing more than 30 people, some sources said more than 40 people, to invest money in their company, claiming their company had exclusive rights to distribute dairy products at Disney properties in Southern California. Yeah, it is a true Ponzi scheme.
Oh, wow.
That's why I say, like, it really didn't have anything to do with the PTA.
Ballsy. That was just
that's how they got to people. Yep.
Oh, wow.
So they said they had a distribution deal with Altadena Dairy, which is a real company, by the way, started by 3 brothers and a few dozen cows back in 1945. These days, it's owned by a dairy farm cooperative. So it is a real company. They had nothing to do with it, from everything I could tell.
Reminds me of Fernando. Remember when he was talking about they bought the movie company that was defunct many years ago? It was a real company at one point in time, but
correct.
Liar, liar, liar. Liar who lies.
Pants on fire.
That's right.
Anyway, back to our very bad moms. They promised very high rates of return, like 100% rates of return.
Red flag.
Oh my gosh, that's
Red
what's
flag.
in my notes.
Yes.
Red flag, red flag. All the transactions were cash transactions. People did get receipts, but they were the ones sold at like stationery stores that just have like a serial number, like just a random, just very general, like that you'd rip off and hand to somebody.
Print it off your damn printer? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no like letterhead.
Yeah.
to indicate that you made a major investment in something.
Oh, boy.
Not the way a lot of big investments would be handled, but even in spite of all the red flags, people trusted them and their
They were
victims.
PTA officers. I mean, they're just like, of course
Right.
they're trustworthy.
Their victims' losses ranged from a few $1,000s to $100,000 or more. One source said some victims lost as much as $200,000.
Ouch.
In some cases, people gave up their life savings and took out second mortgages. Yes. When the bad moms couldn't make good on what they'd promised, one of those investors who wasn't investing in anything went to the sheriff's department and filed a complaint. The women did return the bulk of the money, about $10 million, but if you recall, they had raised 14 with their scheme. So what happened to the rest?
Botox.
Well, news reports
Jobs.
from several sources don't say that, but they do say the women spent millions on lavish cars, vacations, and gambling in both California and Nevada. Yep. They originally faced more than 20 criminal charges, but in the end, all three ladies instead pleaded no contest to 7 counts of securities fraud. Perez, the ringleader, pleaded no contest to an additional count of using a device to defraud. She was sentenced to 3 years in state prison in order to pay, I would guess it was like a computer or whatever, or maybe it was like creating receipts for something that didn't really exist. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say it didn't explain what that charge was related to, but she was sentenced to 3 years in state prison in order to pay more than $1 million in restitution. She was already, get this, she was already serving a 10-year sentence after pleading guilty in 2010 to a similar scheme in another county. Maricela
Also,
Barajas.
like Fernando, they get a taste of it and they just cannot help themselves.
The other two, Maricela Barajas and Juliana Menifee, were sentenced to 3 years behind bars and ordered to pay about $300,000 each in restitution to their victims. So this was kind of the funny part for me. This is advice from the Find Law blog that initially was the first place that I saw this is listed as like a thing bad moms have done in the past. It says, PTA moms may seem innocuous, but their community spirit is not a substitute for due diligence. Criminals come in many packages.
That's right.
It is. It's true. And it is your job to protect yourself by thoroughly investigating business plans, finances, and contracts when someone requests an investment. Follow the advice, people. Yeah.
Woof.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, happy Mother's Day month. Here we are in the month of May. And was that light enough for you?
I liked it.
Yeah,
that
was pretty.
Great.
That was a pretty good one.
That was fun.
That's going to do it for us.
Not for the
now.
victims, but it was entertaining.
I think just not at all. That's the maddening part.
What's the balls to do this, and you have children in the school, and you're like, think of what you're doing to your kids when that gets found out. I mean, these kids are going to be pariahs. Just so you can go gamble and buy cars?
Grandkids. Their ages, to me, at least the 50-year-old suggests maybe it was actually a grandkid because there's no requirement that you are an actual parent to be part of the PTA. There are community members who can be members of
Was
those
it verified if they did actually have children at this
I didn't ever see where they said I think they did have an affiliation with the school for sure. Yeah, they did. But it's one of those where it's like they just took full advantage and people trusted.
Well,
so when you're giving away a lot of money.
We're going to have 2 bottles of wine and we're going to come up with a scheme. And, dairy, no one's going to be suspicious of dairy.
Right.
I mean, who'd question that?
I don't know. They must have had a pretty good pitch.
Unbelievable.
Pitch. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So take the advice from Find Law and be sure to verify before you're handing over that much money, even to a very sweet and kind seeming PTA mom.
Also Google the people because
you might be surprised.
Yeah,
for sure. Thanks everybody. We'll see you again next time.